I'm excited. We're going to do something different. Everything, we are a creative church, so we do things different. We are on this series called His Masterpiece. And we shared with you all that His masterpiece starts with us being Christ-centered, right? And then my wife shared about what is His purpose. And if you want to hear that, please go to the YouTube and check it out. What is His purpose? But today, I want to talk about His plan. And I was excited because when I was, we were out last week, and John was sharing in our group about his masterpiece, and I was blown away. I was blown away by how he shared, about what his masterpiece really means. And I thought that, that was so good and so creative and so gifted that I told John, I said, John, you cannot just share with that small group of people alone. You need to share to everyone in EveryNationPJ. So the first part, I have invited John to share a little bit of the part of his plan on his masterpiece. Come on, John. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. So good to be up here. Yeah, and I just wanted to start with this. You see this word masterpiece, right? His masterpiece. And I don't know who created this, but it's also a masterpiece, You look at it, wow. And the word masterpiece, I wanted to start with a question. When you see the word masterpiece, what do you think of? Yeah, what do you think of? Shout out, anybody? What do you think of when you hear a masterpiece? Food! Yes, what else? Other than food, what else? You think of art, you think of beauty, you think of maybe music, maybe kids' music or Jai's painting and all that. But for me, when I look at the word masterpiece, I think of my wife. She's a masterpiece. Had to take that opportunity. No, I'm kidding. Okay. When I think of the word masterpiece, I also think of Appam Balai. Appam Balai is really a masterpiece because to me, when I eat it, right, wow, the thickness of the kueh, wow, it goes into my mouth. Really a masterpiece, the way it tastes. Yeah, so the point is, whenever we talk about masterpiece, right, each of us have a different view of what masterpiece is. Correct? Am I right? Right? Some of you may say, that music is a masterpiece. Another person may say, wow, that nasi lemak is a masterpiece. All of us have different opinions, and it's based on how we grow up, right? Just because I grow up, eating Appam Balai, Appam Balai is a masterpiece for me. Just because somebody else listens to country music, wow, country music is a masterpiece to them, right? All of us have different views of what masterpiece is, all right? But then when you take the word masterpiece, right, and then you point it towards yourself, I want to ask you a question today. Do you honestly see yourself as a masterpiece? Do you honestly see yourself as a masterpiece? Because, if we are brutally honest, right, most of us don't see ourselves as a masterpiece. It's hard. We've been on this series called His Masterpiece, and the anchoring verse that we've gone through each week after week is right here. Why don't we read this together? It comes from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things He planned for us long ago. We're all Christians, okay? Maybe you're not, but in this place, right, most of you have read this verse from the Bible. You know it in your minds. You know the truth of this verse, but it's hard to really relate and see it as yourself, that you are God's masterpiece. That's the truth of it. And personally for me, I definitely struggle. I definitely struggle to see myself as His masterpiece, not just as a masterpiece, but His masterpiece. Because when I start looking, and comparing myself to my peers, I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm not yet there. My friends are doing better than me. They're, achieving in the careers and all that. They've gotten this and that and all this. When I look at myself, oh man, I still have a long way to go. Maybe I'm not good enough. So on this journey, right, I decided to really wrestle out this verse in my mind. I wanted to ask God, God, how can I see myself as your masterpiece? So I asked myself this question first, okay? What is a masterpiece? How many of you know what actually is a masterpiece? Yeah. So first thing, open up Oxford Dictionary, okay? Oxford Dictionary says that a masterpiece is a great work of art. Like maybe a music or a painting. I don't know if you heard this word before. It's a Latin word. It says magnus opus. Magnus opus, okay? It means in Latin, it's actually the Latin word for masterpiece, and it means the greatest work of a musician or a painter or a blacksmith, their greatest achievement. Yeah, back a couple of centuries ago, where before we had companies and all that, people would study under great masters. All right, like blacksmiths, painters and all that. There's this master and apprentice tutorship or mentorship, and every master, right, while they are teaching their apprentice, they would continue to hone their craft. All right, a painter would continue to master his own craft so that he can create the best kind of painting in his life, so that it can truly be called his masterpiece. And the apprentice would watch the master and learn what is the secret technique that the master will use, so that they in turn can create their own masterpiece, right? All right, then after that, on this journey, I also asked myself, okay, I know what the definition of masterpiece is, but who actually has the authority to say what is a masterpiece or not? Who has the authority? Can anybody just say, oh, that's a masterpiece, oh, this light, wow, masterpiece? Who actually can say what a masterpiece is? For some of you here, I'm sure, when just now I asked the question, right, what a masterpiece is, you said, oh, to me, this music, John, this painting, John, and maybe you would say, oh, okay, this music is a masterpiece to me because, wow, when I listen to it, it's so unique. Wow, it's so pleasant to my ears. Or maybe you look at this painting, wow, this is a masterpiece because, wow, it's a picture of my mother. Wow, very nice. Yeah, but most of us would say, maybe it's unique or it sounds good to you based on your personal experience. So I went to dig deeper. Okay, I went to look at some art journals, read a little bit, and see how do you actually define what is a masterpiece or not. And there's actually two schools of thoughts. There are like two different camps. The first camp would say, okay, it depends on the person creating it. Okay? So what this means, if there's a great painter, right, he comes and paint a picture of a person, okay, and then he works many years on it, and wow, in the end, right, it's really a very beautiful painting. Yeah, then that person, the painter, gets to say, this is a masterpiece. This is my masterpiece, my greatest achievement. But there's a problem with that. Because then, right, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can say, oh, hey, I created something, it's my masterpiece. Even Roland, he walked, wow, that's a masterpiece. He created a new style of walking. Yeah, so that's the problem with the first camp. The second camp says that, okay, whether a masterpiece is a masterpiece or not, right, it depends on the assessment of others, especially expert opinions. People who can give critical assessment on the painting, on the music, right? If you get more good reviews, all right, on the painting or the music, then wow, it's really a masterpiece, all right? But there's also a problem with that, because some people may miss what a true masterpiece is. For example, a painter, right, he paints a picture, and then he leaves a secret hidden purpose or secret code behind that particular painting of his own masterpiece. People like you and me, when we look at a painting and are like, huh, what is this? I don't understand this painting. Rubbish. For example. Because honestly, when I go to some museums, right, I look at some art, right, I'm like, I don't understand why this is here. Yeah. How many of you can relate with that? Yeah, so both school of thoughts, right, has a problem with it. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you know from the world's point of view, right, what is the greatest masterpiece right now from the world's point of view? How many of you know? Don't know, right? So today I'm going to tell you the most famous masterpiece in the world's point of view is the Mona Lisa picture. Can we have it up? Yeah, is this picture. Trust me, this is right now, right, if you Google this, right, it is the world's most famous #1 masterpiece right now. All right, the Mona Lisa picture. And if you don't know, I'm gonna give you some fun facts today. This picture is estimated to be worth US dollars 900 million. Almost 1 billion US dollars. It's so expensive. Okay? And this painting was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Okay? He's an inventor, he's an engineer, and actually painting is his like secondary skill. Okay? And when he painted this picture in about the 1500s, he painted this picture upon the request of an Italian merchant living in Florence at that time. Okay, and this picture is a picture of his wife called Lisa Gerdini. All right, and the word Mona actually means it's an Italian word for lady or madame. So that's why you get Mona Lisa, Madame Lady Lisa. All right, and of course at that time when Leonardo painted it, he didn't actually give it to the merchant. He painted it, but he kept it to himself because he felt, okay, some people said that, it's not good enough of a painting. Yeah. He felt that, I needed to work on it some more. So in the end, the painting didn't manage to go to the Italian merchant. He kept it. A few years later, some people said that his apprentice worked on it some more. And then after that, many years passed and it ended up in the King of France's own palace room as part of his collection. And then it also ended up in Napoleon's private collection. And finally, it landed in the museum in France called the Louvre. And that's where today, if you go and visit the Louvre, you'll be able to find the Mona Lisa picture. All right? I think that's about So I asked myself this question. Why is Mona Lisa a masterpiece? Some fun facts, right? Nobody actually knew about this painting at all, especially before the World War I, 1911. It was painted in the 1500s. Until 1911, nobody knew about it. So what made it a masterpiece? Why suddenly it became world famous? So I have to share with you this story so that you kind of get a picture of it. In 1911, suddenly the Mona Lisa painting went missing from the museum. And everybody got shocked. They're like, whoa, what happened? Who stole the painting? 60 detectives, right, were sent out in France to go and track down this painting. And it became global news, global headlines, because people started accusing a few influential people, like, if you heard of JP Morgan Bank. So at the time, he was alive, right? And people started accusing him, hey, JP Morgan must have stolen it, because there was a trend where American businessmen were buying up influential paintings. And then, he didn't steal it. So they blamed another person. I don't know if you heard of Picasso. He's also a famous art collector and all that. And they blame him. Maybe Picasso stole it. But in the end, the person who stole it was actually this guy called Vincenzo Perugia. He's an Italian guy, and he's actually the former employee of the Louvre Museum. Yeah. So I'm like, wow. And the reason why he stole it, some people would say, Perugia actually stole it because he wanted to sell it for himself. He kept it in his room for a couple of years to sell it, but he didn't manage to sell it. So in the end, they caught him. Yeah. But other people would say, actually he stole it for national reasons, because Leonardo da Vinci painted it and he's an Italian. So what's it doing in France Museum? He wanted to take it back to Italy, because nationalistic pride. But the point here, why I'm telling you this story, is because Mona Lisa became famous after it got stolen. In the end, of course, it was returned back to the museum, but the world then only knew that Mona Lisa is valuable after this incident where this guy stole the painting. Very interesting. Yeah. Other than that, I asked myself, there must be more than that, right? There must be something more than this, right? Why this painting is a masterpiece, right? All right. So if you look at the painting, you notice that it's very unique, right? It looks wherever you're sitting, I'm sure you find that it's looking at you, right? Right? Yeah. So Leonardo da Vinci actually used a technique, it's an oil technique, to paint this picture. And when he used it, right, he positioned Mona Lisa in a posture that at that time, it was unconventional. You'll find models in paintings in the 1500s facing towards the side, facing towards the back like that, okay? But here, he tried a new oil technique where Mona Lisa is facing the front. Yeah, so it's because of what Da Vinci did here that it became so unique. And if you think about that for a moment, right? Here we have, why Da Vinci's technique made it a masterpiece is because art critics, they said that this painting is one of the most realistic human expressions of mankind through a painting. Because it looks so real. That's why whenever you sit, you see it looking back at you. But here, today, right now, we have something even greater than the Mona Lisa picture. We have you sitting in this chair, the most realistic expression of the image of God. And you can feel, you can touch, you can smell, you can sense this expression, you and I, something greater than the Mona Lisa masterpiece. But yet, we find it really hard to believe this, to relate with this, that we are his masterpiece. Why? So in my journey, right, I went to really ask God and wrestle with this. God, why is it so hard to see ourselves as your masterpiece? And I felt God was saying the first thing, every masterpiece, there is a master. Every masterpiece, there is a master. Perhaps why we struggle to see ourselves as his masterpiece is because maybe we don't recognize him as a very skilled master and creator of our lives. That we don't recognize or acknowledge God as really the artisan or the painter of your life. Yeah. If you look at the Mona Lisa picture, you'll notice that it actually looks very normal. The Lisa Gardini in this picture looks very normal. There's no jewelry, no earrings, no necklace, not much makeup, not much lipstick. Her hair is very simple. She's just wearing a very normal black woven cloth. But she's actually an Italian noblewoman. But she looks very simple in this picture. But yet, it is still a masterpiece. It doesn't matter what Mona Lisa in the picture is wearing, or how she's sitting, or whether she looks beautiful or not, or what other people think, it is still a masterpiece. Right? Why? Because it's painted by Leonardo da Vinci, a true skilled master. And if today, Leonardo da Vinci were to come here and paint a picture of, let's say, one of you, let's say Roland. He paints a picture of Roland, it would be a masterpiece. No matter what other people think about Roland, no matter how he looks in the picture, it would be a masterpiece. And today, we have someone even greater than Leonardo da Vinci, who has created you, the master of the universe, the one who created the stars in heaven, the earth, the sea, the skies. He has created you, person greater than Leonardo da Vinci himself. So it depends. So whether a masterpiece is a masterpiece, number one, it depends on who is creating it. All right? The second thing I felt God was saying is, maybe why we struggle to relate with this verse, to see ourselves as his masterpiece, is perhaps maybe we care too much about what we think of ourselves. Maybe we care too much about what other people think. Maybe because we don't hear people saying, wow, hey, wow, today you're very good, wow, what you did, wow, very skilled. Maybe because we don't hear those things. That's why we feel we're not a masterpiece at all, or even his masterpiece. Some of us tend to fall into the second camp, where we see that, okay, if there are more people calling something a masterpiece, then it is a masterpiece. But actually, it's not about the quantity of praises or reviews. It's not about the quantity, but actually the quality of the review. Who is actually calling it a masterpiece? Like, for example, if today, looking at the Mona Lisa picture, because of the theft incident, immediately it ascribed a value to Mona Lisa picture as a masterpiece. Before that, nobody even cared. It was hanging in a museum. They didn't see it as a masterpiece, maybe just a good painting, but because after that, it became a good masterpiece. And today, if King Charles were to come, and he will look at a painting, if he says, wow, this painting is so good, it is a masterpiece, it will be a masterpiece. No matter how many people say it's not a masterpiece or not, if King Charles says it's a masterpiece, it will be, because the value of the masterpiece will go up. Immediately, the prices will skyrocket because the king himself wants to buy it. It will be a masterpiece. Again, it doesn't depend on the quantity, but the quality. Who is calling it a masterpiece? And today, we have someone even greater than King Charles, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, calling you as his masterpiece. See, it doesn't depend on what other people think. If he says you are his masterpiece, right, you are his masterpiece. And I want to read the verse to you again. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. Perhaps when we start recognizing that he is truly a king, that he is a king greater than all the kings of this earth, then we can start seeing ourselves as his masterpiece.